Hello, football fans, NFL fans, Atlanta's Falcons fans. It is Saturday, end of the week. Welcome to a new edition of Jocks and Pigskins. I'm your host, Tom Pollen, along with Wanda Weidman.
Hey,
Wanda. Full show this week with the preseason over, and I think thankfully for Falcons fans, just turned into a dismal preseason, but hey, they didn't take it seriously. So yeah. I don't know if we should even worry about it.
Yeah.
But before we get started, want to give a shout out to the sponsor of Atlanta Sports Unlimited and this show, Prize Picks. Prize Picks will match up to $100 of your first deposit. Use the promo code ASU to support the channel and the show. Prize Picks not only has NFL season player props, but they do have the props for week one, and it's time to start looking at those props for week one.
Yeah.
So, going to be coming up in 2 more weeks. And week one, Falcons are going to be hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we'll see who the Steelers bring in as their starting quarterback. So,
yeah, that'll be
not decided.
Yeah.
But last night, Falcons lost. Oh, I forgot to give my prize pick.
I was going to jump in and just throw it in there.
Yeah, every now and then. I mean, you just got to kind of, re-scramble the brains or reset the brains. And prize pick week one against the Steelers. Bijan Robinson, 0.5 rushing receiving TDs. Basically, anytime TD for Bijan Robinson, if you took the over, you got a correct pick.
That's right.
With Prize Picks. So make sure you sign up and use the promo code ASU, Atlanta Sports Unlimited. All right. Falcons lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I don't know if it could have been more dismal. 31-0 last night closes out a terrible preseason schedule. 0-3. Time for the team to slash the 90-man roster to 53.
Yeah.
So they have until next Tuesday to do that, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And those 53 will finally get to see the starters, see who's going to be on the field and who gets to do battle against the Steelers.
Yeah.
So a few things for sure. The Falcons will have an edge rusher. Finally. Entering the season with an edge rusher. Matt Judon, who they made the trade for, and announced this past week, Judon announced that he'll play for the Falcons on the final year of his contract. So
yeah, exactly. And I think he's doing it as a prove it to them, to let them know, I'm the pass rusher you're looking for, and you're going to sign me and extend it even more after the season. So he's betting on himself. He really is betting on himself.
Yeah, essentially. Well, he came out and said, I haven't really done anything for this team yet. So I'm going to show this team what I can do.
Exactly.
Basically, which is fine,
Yeah.
But essentially, that gives the Falcons a free year with Matt Judon. If you consider, what he's going to make in his position on a salary ladder for outside, pass rushers.
Right.
But I don't think any fans are going to complain about, having him come in.
No, I don't think so.
Then you have one of the top safety duos in the league, signing Justin Simmons. So that is going to be a mean secondary this year, especially at the safety position. I'm looking forward to seeing those two guys play together.
Yeah, it's been missing for a while, so this is going to be really nice to see.
Yeah. Yeah, Jesse Bates doesn't have to do it all alone. He's got a partner who can play right alongside with him. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And First of our commenters today, Wallace Smith. How you all doing today? Wallace, doing great. Doing
Great,
outstanding.
Wallace.
Wonderful
Thanks for
day here in
asking.
Chicago. So, yeah, I appreciate you being here. So, and then last Thursday, the Falcons announced that they have extended A.J. Terrell for 4 years, $81 million, and $65.8 million of that money guaranteed, which makes him the second highest paid cornerback in NFL history.
Yep.
The highest guaranteed money. It's a record for guaranteed money for a cornerback in NFL history. So they have really put the emphasis on getting one of their key players signed. He hasn't had an interception the last 2 years, but he's been a leader on that defense. Can't underestimate that. So, but I was a little surprised after all these signings, after all these moves the Falcons have made. I looked it up. Falcons are still $9 million under the cap, which is a pretty nice amount to go into the season with.
Yeah.
Because you always have to leave cap money in case players get hurt. You need to, sign players or bring players, sign their contracts off the practice squad. Wallace, yeah, I think AJ has played well enough. As I say, I would say some of that, what leads to some of that, no interception record is the fact that quarterbacks don't throw at him. He only allows like a 53% receiving ratio when he has been targeted in the Falcon secondary. So he does lock down opponents' receivers. And, yeah, you don't get the interceptions, but, sometimes you got to get attention from the quarterback before you can get those interceptions and impress that way.
Yeah, exactly.
But he is in shape. He's ready for this season. And I'm ready to see what he can do. He is motivated. He is ready to play. And I think with Bates and Simmons, he's going to get a couple of those interceptions this year.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So I do like what we see, but as I said, $9 million still under the cap. Because I was thinking, all these signings and the Falcons were tight against the cap anyway, but they've made some moves, they've made some contract adjustments, and
you just kind
Terrell's contract. Go ahead, Wanda.
The only thing I'm concerned about is there's a lot of guaranteed money up front, and the concerning thing is what does that look like down the line? Because eventually it's somehow going to put you in a situation where you can't move any money because you've got so much guaranteed into contracts. So it's a little bit concerning.
I agree, but remember that Terrell's contract doesn't kick in until next year.
Right.
So he's playing on the final year of his rookie deal,
Right.
which is about 12.3, I think.
Yeah.
So, they took advantage of that. The fact that they still had some money, only paying Terrell on his rookie deal for this season, and took advantage of it. Pushed a signing into next year, and for AJ Terrell, it's looking pretty good. I don't mind seeing them make that move. I like seeing teams lock down their key players.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
So,
yeah. I mean, look at the Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb is still. There's just I mean, he's your key player. It's like Jerry Jones. What are you doing? But it's good to see, because this just says that the Falcons are locked and loaded and ready to go, and it's a win now situation for them. So it's good to see that they've gone all out into making sure that happens.
Yeah. And it's good when free agents do come to this team or look at this team. That when players look at this team, free agents look at this team, or, you know, players who've been around for a couple of years and are going to start looking for that extension soon, knowing that the Falcons, if you prove yourself to this team, they will come through with the money for you.
Yeah.
They are not afraid to sign their own, which is, I mentioned about 3 weeks ago, something Tampa Bay does very well.
Yeah.
Signs their own. Keeps those draft picks, keep those guys who produce. And I think is an important thing.
It shows their players. It shows their players that that they're all in on what they can do for the team. They chose them for a reason, and they noticed their athletic ability, their ability to put something on the field for the team. So by doing that, it really lets them know, hey, we appreciate you. You have value to us. We're going to make sure that you stay with us, and we're going to keep you on. And, that I think that's a great mentality for a team to keep their players, because then the players give them their all when they know that they're invested.
Exactly. Yeah. Which, as I say, AJ Terrell, he's ready to go out there and really ball this year. So
exciting to it's exciting to see. Yeah.
It is. All right. So, as I say, dismal preseason, but the Falcons were not invested in the preseason. Some third and fourth string players had a chance to show what they could do last night against Jaguars' first team offense and defense. The Jacksonville Jaguars played their starters for a half.
Yeah.
And boy, they look ready.
They do. They do.
Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Evan Ingram. I mean, this team looks ready to come out and really make some noise in the AFC South.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence looked determined. He looks determined to come out and
he looks healthier
and make an impact this year.
Yeah, he looked healthier. He looked really in good shape.
Yeah.
And he was getting the ball out quick. So he was really balling, and very you could see he was very happy about getting out there. He was excited. So I think I think the Jaguars are going to be for that division are going to be the ones to beat, really.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Following up on what you just said, hate that our first team offense, hey, Brian, good to see you today, will hit the field for the first time together against Pittsburgh's defense. Yeah, very tough. Todd also had a question that followed, was along the same lines as Brian. I got a problem with it. I have a problem, especially with a first-time offensive coordinator. I do have a problem with a team not seeing their starters at least once during the preseason and giving them some time to air it out, make a couple mistakes, because all the mistakes now, all the problems, all the timing issues, and I know the Falcons have been practicing hard, but all those timing issues tend to show up in your first time out on the field.
Yeah.
And I think the Falcons are going to have some tough times. I think this is going to be a tougher game than it needed to be because they did not get their first string offense and defense on the field.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think it's going to be, especially with the pressure that the Steelers defense is going to push on them, being that Kirk Cousins hasn't played in a year. And you've got, and having that relationship with his first team out in a game. I think that is actually going to show in the first several series when they play that's going to really go, whoa. They're going to take that back and have to readjust. So we'll see if they're going to be pounding the rock really hard, and trying to get Bijan out there through that defense to try to get something going, or Kirk Cousins just really lays it out there and tries to get the ball out quick. And I think that's really important. This Cousins has to get the ball out quick, and his receivers have to be in that place where they need to be. So it's really, I mean, they spoke very highly of this, young coordinator, and to see if he's going to be able to take this team where they need to go. But, we'll see.
Yeah, it's tough to do. And, fortunately, this offensive line, this is, with Bergeron established as part of this line now. It's the second season they've been together. So I don't foresee any problems with the offensive line as far as Drew Dahlman calling, blocking plays and calling, blocking assignments. But still, you don't get that timing. And I know the Falcons have been, Raheem Morris has had this team playing hard in practice, trying to keep the speed up on defense and offense, keep these guys working. But I still don't think you get that same feel as you do when you're out playing against somebody else's guys.
Right, exactly.
And I think the same thing for Michael Penix. He saw all he needed to see in week 1. Really?
I know. I know. That was really strange, actually.
I know they sustained 2 serious injuries in week 1. But in preseason week 1. But that was a bad field. They were playing in better conditions the last 2 weeks in Baltimore and in Atlanta. So why are, I think Morris got over concerned about the injury, problems, and pulled into his shell and tried to keep his players ready, ready to play. But, now you got all your guys seeing their first action on the field against Pittsburgh Steelers. And I mean, not the greatest team in the AFC, but still Mike Tomlin always has that team ready to play.
Right.
And so, I don't know.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, that's kind of
Pantera. There's not a lot of rookies starting. They're vets. Preseason is not as important as backup battles. I still think going into a season after being out for a while, or coming into the regular season week 1, where you are facing that top competition, you still need time to dial it in. And Cousins has not played it down in the preseason. And this has gone back to Arthur Smith. I mean, Arthur Smith did this too. Didn't play starters in the preseason. And I don't know. I think they were never ready to start the season. And I wonder if the Falcons are going to be ready to start the season this year.
I mean, it's a matter of trying to get the rust off. I mean, even if you're first team starters and you know how to do the job, and and that's true, but sometimes you just got to get that rust off after being off for a little while, and just kind of getting that, just being able to, especially like defense, even just being able to hit some players. You can't do that really too much in practice. They're your own team, so you don't want to take out your own team. So to get out there, that's why during those practices, when they have the practices where they're playing against a team, and they get chippy all the time because they really want to hit somebody. They really want to like get in there, and it's just trying to get that out there. And I'm sure there's a reason, even with Kirk Cousins wanting to play in the preseason, wanting to get the rust out, wanting to air that ball out and see it in the hands of his receiver, contested with an opposite team to see if they can get that out there. So It's just a matter of getting the feel, and even if it was just one series, just being able to do that, just to get that out there. I mean, Kirk Cousins, I love the dude because he's even out on the sidelines with the helmet on, even though he's
Yes.
listening to the plays, but he just wants to play. The guy just wants to
Right.
play.
He wants to be out there. Yeah.
Yeah, he just craves it. And he's sitting there talking ball with Drake London, describing a play and so on. And so he's invested in it. He wants to
Oh,
play.
yeah.
And I think the excitement of doing that, glad preseason's over. Now let's get out there. Let's do what we need to do and show them what we can do as a
Right.
team. So yeah, it would have been good, at least for a series, but Raheem had to do what he felt was best for the team.
He's the coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I still say you got to get your guys out there.
Yeah.
Especially with a new offensive coordinator and new defensive coordinator. You're going from a 4-3 to a 3-4. That's not an easy conversion.
Yeah.
You got guys who are going to be uncertain about their cover areas and their responsibilities on the field in a 3-4 defense. You got to work out some of these kinks, in the preseason. That's why you get to play a couple preseason games. I worry about this defense because, as I say, 3-4, it's not an easy defense to convert to. It's not just a fact of your defensive linemen or your secondary, your linebackers are lining up in a slightly different area, and it's going to be it's a complete change in the mindset. And I'm not happy that the defense really did not get enough time out on the field. So, but that's me. Now the second twos, actually the twos really didn't play yesterday. 3s and 4s had their chance to make an impression yesterday. I don't think they really did make an impression on me. They didn't make an impression on Jacksonville's ones. Yeah. And, this is their chance. You're playing against the other team's starters. If you really want to show what you got, last night was the time to do it.
Yeah.
Putting aside all the argument about whether Atlanta starters should have played or not, but, being a third string, being on the bubble, you had a chance to show what was possible last night. And I don't know. You got to go with what you got, but I was not impressed with the way some of these guys came through and tried to win a spot for on the 53-man roster.
Yeah, especially when it came to that third quarterback position with Heineke, and I don't know. I was not. I didn't. Heineke looked lost yesterday. He was trying to command the offense, but he could not connect as he wanted to. Kept overthrowing his receivers. And I don't know if he's going to be the QB3. I really don't.
Yeah. And see, that's, the first on my list for today, as far as looking at the 53-man roster, is quarterback. Cousins and Penix are on the Falcons depth chart as 1 and 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And Heineke really has not shown me a reason why he should be 3. I don't know if he can be QB3 on this team. I do expect John Paddock to be signed to the practice squad. I think he slips through waivers. But what do you do with Heineke? If you let him go, you got $2 million saving in cap space.
Right.
Not very consequential, but hey, $1 million is $1 million.
Right. And it all depends on who gets, who gets released from other teams.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, and
That's
they may
true.
have seen someone they liked and go, yeah, we're gonna take that person and let Heineke go.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The preseason is not the be all end all as far as what players are going to make this roster. The Falcons are going to get a chance to scan the waiver wire and make other signings if they feel another team has missed the boat on a player. You can bring them in.
Yeah.
So it just because these guys, this 90-man roster has played the entire preseason for you, does not mean they're even going to be on the Falcons.
Right.
Falcons might decide to bring somebody else in. So, and I think that's a good way to look at it, is who's out there after the cut downs are made, who's on the waiver wire.
Right.
And I'm not sure Heineke is worth keeping if they can find something better, if somebody better is out there. Now, in Taylor Heineke's favor, there's not a lot of guys out there. There's not a lot of quarterbacks in this league, even to be quarterback 2, let alone quarterback 3. But, we'll see how this works through the entire 32 team league.
Right.
And we'll start tracking who ends up making this team, who gets that spot. Running back, of course, is going to be Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. I think Avery Williams makes the team because he's one of the key return men on kickoff. He can also, was one of the top punt returners a couple of years ago before getting hurt, missing all of 2023. So I think Avery Williams has a spot on this team, which leaves a final roster spot for Carlos Washington or 5th-round draft pick Jace McClellan. Who do you got? Who's your man?
Man, I would say Carlos Washington. I think Carlos showed a lot on the field, even last night. Just really quick on his feet, a really great pass catcher, even on the run. But he just seemed to have had a lot more breakthroughs than the rookie. But I mean, they have to go with the draft pick. I mean, they drafted Jace McClellan. So, but Carlos Washington made an impact. He said, you'd be a fool not to put me on the roster. And I don't know how they're going to do this, what they're going to do in this, or make him more of a triple threat, as a receiving running back. So who knows? I don't know, but yeah,
he showed some good hands. So
he's got really good hands. So they may put him in there. I think I saw on USA Today when they put out their 53-man roster on the Falcons, and they actually had Carlos Washington listed as a wide receiver. So really? I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. So I'm not sure if they think that's where they're going to go because he's got good hands, and that's what they're assuming is going to be the deal. But I think he would be a great 3-down in the event that something happens, maybe with Tyler or Bijan. We don't want any of that to happen, but they need someone that has got good hands and can stick it in the ground. And Washington showed he could do that.
You think McClellan can make the practice squad? Do you think he makes it through waivers?
I think so. I think so. I think it's possible. I think they'll keep him in there. I just didn't see enough from him that impressed me. But I don't know if it's just he just couldn't get his footing, or he just didn't get as quick. Washington just was able to get through the holes and was able to push through. So he just showed out more. I'm just not sure with how they're going to deal with that one, but he may make the practice squad. I don't know, but we'll see. Yeah.
Well, I think at worst they try to bring him back for the practice squad if nobody else picks him up.
Yeah.
As I say, you never know if you put a player on waivers and try and get him through waivers, is he going to make it? And
yeah, I just think he's so good. I mean, they would have to put Washington on the practice squad if he doesn't. Otherwise, they lose him because he'll get picked up quick.
Yeah, I think he will too.
He will get picked up very fast.
And I think that plays a lot into what is going to go through the coaches and Terry Fontenot's mind.
Yeah.
As they make these final cut downs, who can we sneak through waivers? And yeah, I don't think Carlos Washington sneaks through waivers.
Yeah.
I think he's got too many possibilities for that an NFL team is going to look at him and say, hey, this is a quality guy. We can bring him in and do something with him. Again, wide receiver. Well, maybe you hold down. Maybe you only take 5 wide receivers instead of 6, and you bring in Washington as kind of a swing back.
Yeah.
A guy you can do either one with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think Washington's going to be on this team. Brian agrees with you. So they can keep both, but you're going to have to stay with 5 wide receivers, and which that receiver group right now is looking at Drake London, Ray McLeod, who's also one of your return men,
right?
Darnell Mooney, and I think Cordero Hodge because of his he's got good hands. He runs good routes.
Yeah.
And also quality special teamer. So I think Hodge, makes it because of what he contributes overall to this team.
Yeah, I agree.
I believe Chris Blair has played his way onto this team.
Oh yeah, he did pretty well. I was watching him last night. He did pretty well. So
yeah,
I think he does make it on the team as well.
Yeah. Another point from Brian. Yeah, I do understand that. And maybe just to make it clear, even if they do sneak through waivers, still unprotected as practice squad players, but at least you get a chance to bring them back, put them on your practice squad. All 32 teams have had an initial look at your guy. And, later on in the season, as injuries start piling up, would another team try to poach him if they could? Yeah. But I don't think he makes it through initial waivers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I believe Chris Blair is going to play his way onto the team. Basically, this could come down to a choice between Casey Washington and Carlos Washington.
Right? Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. That's like a hard decision. Which Washington do you go on?
Yeah. So that's going to be a tough decision, right? Carrying that 6th wide receiver or carrying Carlos Washington as a swing wide receiver, swing back, who can do both for you, hit the pattern and can be an effective runner for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, tight end, I think is only going to be 3. Kyle Pitts, Charlie Warner, the top ones. Ross Dwelly, I think, makes the roster.
Yeah.
Basically, you could tell by who didn't play most of the last 2 weeks. And I think John Fitzpatrick, they will bring back on the practice squad. He had a rough preseason, but again, draft choice.
Yeah.
And, see if you can develop them. Offensive line. Shaping up to be a strong position group in my mind. And, anybody who's watching right now, let me know what you think of the offensive line, because I think there's a couple of swing players here. Jake Matthews, Bergeron, Drew Dahlman, Chris Lindstrom, Caleb McGarry. That's the 5-man front.
Right.
Was going to be the 5-man front coming into this season, and they are going to be the 5-man front when the Falcons go out to face the Steelers. I think with backups, you're looking at Ryan Newsell as center guard option. Kyle Hinton, who played a lot of time, spent a lot of time, got some snaps for the Falcons last year as a backup guard. And Storm Norton, who went into last night's game second on the depth chart with Barry Wesley as tackle. I think Storm Norton makes that final group as the swing tackle, which kind of leads us to a problem, because one thing that we haven't talked about yet is DeMarco Helms has to be on the 53-man roster before he can be moved to the IR right, and be able to come back during the season. And it looks like Helms is going to be able to come back during the season. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Nobody's speculated on that. But you have to roster DeMarco Helms. So who goes, and then who do you try and sneak through waivers, and who do you bring back to try to take that roster spot? So it makes things a little bit tricky. Yeah. Does Julian Davenport tackle make the team after Helms is put on IR? And Jovan Gwynn, draft choice, got a lot of playing time, and, do the Falcons think enough about him to try and bring him back? I think he does get put on waivers. I think he does. He is on the initial cuts, but I think he comes back at least to the practice squad. So, fans, let me know what you think. It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on that. Interior defensive line, of course, you got Jarrett Nanyamata, Zach Harrison, Rook Arororo. Man, I'm trying to get that name down during the season. Rook Arororo. I think we're on the Jetsons here. Yeah, it's taking care of a friend's dog. So, and he does.
I think he was answering the name.
He was answering the question. Yeah,
he just answered the question.
Taquan Graham, Contavious Street. I think Eddie Goldman does make this roster. He hasn't played.
No, but he was a really good nose tackle, so I think he's going to be. He's put on some weight, looking like he can. I think he can take care of that front.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah,
and I think he's going to be on that front. Right, he's weighing in at about 315. He's going to be the heaviest guy in that front, and
yep.
And I think he's on the squad. But then Brandon Dorlus, also makes the team, and I think that's pretty much it as far as interior defensive line. I know a lot of Falcons fans are thinking about Zion Logue. Can you push Zion Logue through waivers? And he's a 7th-round pick, but he's got a lot of potential. He's rough. He needs a lot of time developing. But there are traits there that make you think that this guy can actually contribute on the interior defensive line. And do other teams see that in him? I know a lot of Falcons fans are excited about having Zion Logue on the defensive line, or having him make this squad. But I don't know. I think, again, this is a solid solid position group for the Falcons. And I don't know if Lowe cracks it, but I think they do want to bring him back on the practice squad. So
yeah, I agree. I agree there. Yeah.
So it's going to be rough to see. Yeah, I don't know. And I would like to see some comments if anybody thinks Logue has done enough to make the team. But that's going to be a rough choice for Terry Fontenot over the next couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't think he makes the team. But I mean, it's, there's only so many, and they have to leave room on that practice squad for additional players from other teams.
Right.
So I just don't think he did enough to get there.
Yeah, but I think the Falcons like his potential, and that's basically why they drafted him.
True.
They drafted him on his potential.
That's true. That's true.
To eventually play in the interior. I think he gets through waivers. I think he gets back to the practice squad. I think he stays a Falcon. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to see where the decision's made on that. Again, is at a spot where, with Helms gone, do they bring him back? Is there somebody, I don't know. I don't think he's ready. So, yeah, I think they try and get him through the practice squad. Kind of talking through it. So, outside linebacker, edge rusher, Judon and Lorenzo Carter were at the top of the depth chart going into last night's game. And Arnold Ebiketie and James Smith-Williams. And I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, those are your lock guys there, yeah.
But J.D. Bertrand, I think, has made it.
Oh, he has to. The kid was just balled out. So,
yeah.
His potential is extremely high. So
I think inside linebacker. I'm sorry. Yeah, outside linebacker, I think that's it. I don't think there's anybody else you can really consider there unless they find somebody on waivers.
Correct.
Inside linebackers, Caden Ellis, Troy Anderson, Nate Landman, and then J.D. Bertrand. But I think he's the fourth linebacker in that group.
Exactly. Yep.
So, yeah, I like him. I think you like him because he came out of Notre Dame. So
yeah, he's like an ankle biter. He just goes for those ankles. I love him.
So, cornerback, AJ Terrell. Nah, not going to be cut. He makes the squad. I had Justin Simmons in that group. I don't know why. Mike Hughes, D. Alford, Clark Phillips do make it. Our locks. So I think Natron Brooks played his way off the roster last night, especially in that first drive. He just got beaten so badly.
Yeah.
Looked awful. Made that comment on Twitter at the time that, thinking Trevor Lawrence just owned him.
Yeah, he did.
In that first drive last night.
Yeah, he sure did.
I think Kevin King didn't look great yesterday, but I think he makes this team. I think he's looked good enough.
He did one good play, like really one good play out there, but I agree. I think he still makes the team. I think he made enough to get there.
Yeah, he opened everybody's eyes in the first preseason game, and I think he's continued to keep himself noticed, which is the main thing. You want to catch you want to catch your coach's eye. Well, I think he did that in the first game. I think he continued to do that. Yeah. So I like to see it. Wallace Smith thinks Kevin King and Hamilton will be the other two cornerbacks that make it. I think you got to think of Micah Anthony too, or Micah Abernathy. And I've seen a lot of people put Dane Cruikshank in that roster spot, but I don't know why.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, it's – well, here I'm going to safeties again. God, why am I looking at safeties when we're talking about cornerbacks? So, yeah.
The whole other level.
Huh?
You're just going into a whole. You go from one thing because you're just so excited about all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Safety, I think 4 players make it. Bates and Simmons, definitely. Richie Grant.
Of course.
Yep. And as I say, down to Micah Abernathy and Dane Cruikshank. I think Micah Abernathy is the more all-round player.
Right.
To fill out that group. And again, DeMarco Helms is going to be the wild card. So when does he come back? Does he get back in time? Is he only going to be out a couple of weeks? Nobody knows. The Falcons haven't said.
Yeah.
So does Helms make the team and stay on the roster? Do they put him on IR? When do they expect him back?
Yeah.
They haven't said. So, yeah, I'm just having a hell of a time here. So, but yeah, I think both, Wallace, I think you're on the mark there. So, gives us 6 cornerbacks. And again, now that you have AJ Terrell signed, I think Clark Phillips looks good in spots. And I think he's going to challenge for a starting spot. D'Alford, I think, looked good last season. I like D'Alford. And so I think he's worthwhile. Mike Hughes is an alternate punt returner. I think he makes the team because he can do special teams.
Right.
I'm not overwhelmed with him as a cornerback, and I think he got beat up on quite a bit last year at cornerback. But he's kind of the weak link in this otherwise strong group. But he makes it because he's your alternate punt returner. And we'll see how that goes. Wallace, Helms, there's no timetable for his return. They haven't announced anything. So it's going to be difficult to see whether he goes on. Yeah, I agree. Hughes is going to make it as a cornerback. But I don't think he's one of your best options at cornerback. I don't think he's starting caliber, but he will make it because he's, again, he can do other things well. He can play special teams well. And a lot of times that can get you on the team also. That will get you rostered. So looking forward to seeing that. And of course, your specialists are Koo, Pinion, and Liam McCullough. So
there you go.
There's the roster. That's what we're looking at. Those are the questions we still have leading into Tuesday when they make these cuts. And, some of these guys that we thought were locks may not make the team because you never know who's going to be available.
I think Helms. Yeah, I think Helms is. They're going to put him on and then put him on IR. I just don't think they're going to just let him go. I think they're depending on how long or how badly injured he is. But I still think they're going to put him on the roster, then put him on IR, and then put one of these guys a quick. Here's what we're going to do. Then grab one of these other guys and bring him back in.
Yeah, put one of these bubble players on the roster.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out.
Yeah.
Especially a running back wide receiver, with Carlos Washington and Casey Washington.
That's what I'm excited to see. I want to see because Carlos Washington, I just absolutely loved him. I said, but, who is it?
No.
Which other Washington was it? Casey Washington. Yeah. So I mean, they both played so well, and you just kind of wish you could both of them on there. But if I had a choice, it would be Carlos.
Yeah, Wallace, not necessarily. Wallace does bring up if they were going to put Helms on IR, they would have done it already. No, they would have done it if they didn't expect him back for the rest of the season.
Right.
If you want to bring him back in season, and I think they feel that Helms can be back in season, you have to roster him first. And then you can put him on IR and you can bring him back in season. There's one of those, sneaky little rules that the NFL has as far as roster building.
Right.
They could have put him on IR at any point in the preseason.
Right.
But they would not have been able to bring him back. Kind of like Rondale Moore.
Right. Yeah.
So you are correct. Could have put him on IR anytime. But they want him back. They expect Helms. They feel Helms is worth bringing back, is worth keeping on this roster, is worth continuing to develop. And actually did some starting last year. Got a lot of snaps at safety last year in place of Richie Grant. So, and I'm not a big fan of Richie Grant. I don't think he's played well his entire career here in Atlanta. So I'm not impressed with him. But yeah, if they want to bring back Helms at any time during this season, he has to make the initial 53-man roster. So, which means you have to expose another player to waivers before you can bring him back and put him on the roster, take Helms' place on the roster. So that's the tricky thing. The Falcons think he's going to come back. So, and it's a matter of what do they use the roster spot on when they can put him on waivers, and who they think they can sneak through and get on their practice squad.
Right.
Or who else they decide in the NFL is going to be on their practice squad.
Right.
I'm sure they have thoughts about every team's 53-man roster and are looking at players that could be available to them. I'm sure Terry Fontenot already knows who's going to be available. Maybe not knows, but has a good idea who's going to be available for the Falcons at cutdown time. So just because they were on the final depth chart for the Falcons, going into the final exhibition game does not mean they're going to still be on this roster or on the practice squad when this is all done.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. Always an interesting time of the year to see who's impressed.
Right.
And everybody,
Right.
you're always going to disagree as far as who you think impressed is, and who you think has impressed the coaching staff.
Yeah, because how many times as fans that they're watching a game and they see somebody that stands out really well in preseason, and they think for sure he's going to be on the 53-man roster and even a practice squad, and he's neither.
Nope.
It's gone.
Right.
And they're sitting there going, what is going, but other team, it just leaves the door open for other teams. And that shows very well on the scouting team that is looking and saying, hey, we saw this person at this game in this way, these are the ones we could come after, stick them on our squad for cushion and then go from there. Because they know pretty much, especially if they've got a player that is injury prone, who's always, then they want to have a solid cushion backup that's going to be there and go in case this person goes out. Then we've got somebody that is key. Is going to go in, play, and figure it out from there. So, it'll be exciting. I just want to see who makes his team, who's solid, and just see week one. Well, I just
Yeah.
want to see what happens week 1 when it's all said and done, and see how these players match up against the Steelers.
Right. Exactly. Well, we are running out of time. We'll talk about that final roster and how it came together next week, and start looking at the NFL season next week, because we are coming close to time. As you know, when everybody gets excited, when it's finally time for week 1, real football is coming. And that's always exciting for fans. Brian, you too. Have a great week. But before we leave, I do want to make one more shout out to the channel sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks, make your first deposit of $100 or more. Well, and Prize Picks will match up to $100 of your first deposit. So gives you some extra money to work with as you start up with Prize Picks.
There you go.
Which is always fun. And as I say, my Falcons prize pick of the week for week 1, Bijan Robinson, anytime touchdown. All he's got to do is crack the goal line. And if you pick him to do that, you are well on your way to having a strong week 1 pick set.
Yep.
So looking forward to that. Great to have everybody with us today. Always thrilled to have people spend their Saturdays with us.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely do. Every week. And look forward to finally getting into the regular season and seeing what can happen. Anything can happen this year. I know Falcons fans with these last few sightings definitely want to go to New Orleans and party.
Yeah.
So first week of February, I don't know if Falcons fans want to start making their reservations, booking their trips. Super Bowl in the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Yeah. So
make plans now.
Yep, make your plans. And I think Falcons fans would just love to celebrate a Super Bowl appearance in New Orleans. Just stomp all over their rival fans.
I'm sure.
In their hometown.
Yeah.
So, should be a lot of fun. But again, great to have you all with us. And we will talk to you next Saturday. Looking forward to it. Have a great week, everyone.
Have a great week.